Hey guys, Matthew here, and today we're actually going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be looking at D2R. So one of the questions that I got asked super often for the short time that I streamed this game was essentially, how did you make all your currency, your wealth, whatever you want to call it in this game? And the reality is that's the same thing that I applied in this game than in PoE. First off, playtime is a huge thing, but the second thing is obviously going to be efficiency, and this video is going to be all about that. How to make you way more efficient at farming these different things that you want to farm. And the idea is to try to reduce as much as possible the amount of time that it takes you to get to where you want to be so that you can do more runs in the same amount of time, right? That's the goal. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over the 6 or 7 main farming locations, and I'm essentially going to explain how to very easily find the exits in order to get to the boss as fast as possible. And the cool thing about this is that these explanations or these tips are going to be rule of thumbs that you can always apply the exact same way, and it's pretty much always going to work outside of the few exceptions when you get an unlucky layout. All right. So before that, though, I need to explain a little bit about this game and how maps are generated. So I'm actually sitting in the first level, or the 0th level of the tower right now, because this is a perfect place to explain what I want to explain. Essentially right now what I'm looking at is a tile. Now this is a very small tile. Tiles are a lot bigger than that, but this is a very small tile, but it still illustrates very, very well. Essentially what I want to talk about is entrances and exits, and then orientation. Those are pretty much the only things that you need to understand in order to apply these tips that I'm going to give on each of these specific areas on how to find the exits as fast as possible. So essentially the orientation of a layout or the orientation of a tile is basically the way to which the way that will lead your character to the next tile, if that makes sense. So you see how I have a hard wall here, a hard wall here, and a hard wall here, but I have an entrance here. So in this case, the orientation of my layout is the orientation which leads me to the next tile, which is obviously going to be the exit, right? Now, in a real layout, it would just be the next tile right there, but there is no next tile. So in this case, the orientation of my layout would be top right, right? Because it's heading to the top, it's going upwards, right? I have to go up, and it's going to the right. So upright is the orientation of my tile. Now what I want to do is I want to position my character towards this orientation, right? Which is basically my character looking at the orientation of the tile, which is top right. Now the next thing that comes is learning about shield side and weapon side, or whatever you want to call it. That's what I call them. Essentially, that is going to be the shield side of my character, which is the left side, and then the weapon side is going to be the right hand of my character, which is going to be the right side. So if I say left side of the or shield side of the orientation, if this is the orientation and my shield is right here, that means that I'm talking about down here. This is where I would want to go. And if I'm looking in this direction, I say weapon side of the orientation of the tile, which would be right here, well, this is the weapon side, so I'm going to go towards this side. This is essentially all you need to know. Now, the next thing you need to remember is that these specific layouts have specific orientations that are always the same. But that doesn't mean that the tile is going to be spawning where it should be. So in this case, let's just say this is my exit, and it should be on the shield side, which is down here. You would expect it to be right here, but the thing is, all that shield side means, it means that the orientation of the exit tile, which leads me to the next zone, is going to be the shield side of the orientation of my entrance tile. So in this case, if this is my entrance tile and this is shield side, you would think that it's right here, but the reality is that it could be right here. Now you'd say that doesn't make sense. I need to go to the right side. Yeah, but what if I told you that instead of going to the right side here, the layout might make you go left and then left again and then left again? If that happened, well, in reality, it would still be technically to the bottom left, the orientation of the exit tile. It just would be inverted to where you want it to be. That's going to happen. But in most cases, it won't be like that. Inverse maps are not that common. All right, that's essentially all you need to know. So now the next thing you need to remember is that for the tower for farming Countess, it is always going to be on the shield side of the orientation of the entrance. So the next thing is going to be figuring out, well, what orientation is my tile in? Well, essentially, the way out is the orientation. So this is my orientation, right here. Now I know that this is my entrance. This is the orientation of my tile, which is bottom left. And I want to go shield side of that, which means that the exit tile is 100% going to be in the direction of bottom right, because it has to be on the shield side, right? But it doesn't mean that it's going to be the bottom. It could be at the top if I get unlucky, right? If I get an inverse layout. So let's find out what happens. In this case, it looks like, yep, we might have had an inverse layout, and it might even have been at the very beginning. I kind of want to check that spot right here, just in case. Yep, there it is. See, that's actually a perfect example of what doesn't happen very often, but what can happen. See how my entrance is right here? And the shield side, which means the orientation of the exit tile, is going to be bottom right. And what do we have here? The orientation of this tile is exactly that, bottom right. So this was an inverse layout. See when I said you can go left, which is left here, right? And then left, and then technically that's the same thing, right? That's the bottom right. It's just 3 times left instead. So it's great that we got one of those, but those are not super common. All right, this is the orientation of the tile, bottom left, same exact thing. We're going to go to the bottom right, where at least the orientation of the tile is leading me to the bottom right. So I'm just going to follow along the walls, right? Follow along the walls that lead me to anything that is bottom right. So bottom right, no, it wasn't quite there. Keep going a little bit further, and boom, there it is, right? Bottom right, this is the orientation of the tile, bottom right. We'll do the same thing once more. So again, this is the orientation of my tile. I'm sticking to the shield side of this orientation, which would be top right in this case. So I'm just going to follow along the wall that leads me to the top right. And there it is. And we can do the same thing here. This is the orientation is bottom right, so I'm going to go top right once more. And unfortunately got a little bit unlucky here. Let's see if it's a little bit further down the road. Boop, boop, boop. And there it is, right? So essentially, if you follow this rule of shield side for this specific layout, you will always find it pretty easily. So let's just say you were a non-sorceress character, because of course sorceress has TP, which means knowing all this stuff is much less valuable information because you have infinite teleports. If you're playing something like a paladin, like an assassin, like a druid, anything else really, that doesn't have access to teleport or that uses teleport charges, which are very expensive, this kind of tip is going to save you a bunch of time and a bunch of money. Now let's look at the next very popular farming zone, and that is going to be Andariel. So it's going to be the exact same thing here, except in this case, it's going to be weapon side. So this is my tile, right? So this is my tile. I've got a hard wall there. I've got a hard wall there, and I've got a hard wall there. So the orientation of the tile is like this, which is going top left. And I want to stick to the weapon side of that, so I'm going to go top right. So let's go ahead and check out what we find in the top right and see if we have any luck finding our exits. So again, I'm just going to stick to this side, stick to this side, stick to this side. And there it is, top right. Now, the problem is, there is nothing that I can tell for Catacombs level 3. I have no idea how to figure this out. I typically just struggle to find the exit myself. I don't know if anybody does know some sort of trick for it, but I don't. So we are just going to move on to the next place, which once again, we are going to be inverting. So we went shield side for Countess, weapon side for Andariel, and the next is going to be Durance Hate level 2, which is going to be leading us to Mephisto, and in this case, it's also going to be go back to shield side. So again, we're going to be looking for the orientation of the tile, and this is a hard wall, this is a hard wall, and so is this, which means the orientation of the tile is as follows, right? Which is top left. So we are going to go to shield side, which is, in this case, bottom left. So we're going to stick to the bottom left of this layout as much as humanly possible, and that should lead us to the exits. Now, one thing about the Durance of Hate level 3 or level 2 is that this layout is huge compared to, say, Catacombs or compared to Countess. And the reason for that is because it was expanded 2 to 3 times or something in a patch a long time ago. So inverse layouts in this specific area are much more common. If you don't have access to teleport, what I would say is that if it doesn't follow the rule of shield side, and it did in this case, right? I just follow the shield side, and there I am, right? It wasn't inversed. It didn't take me very long to find it. It was pretty easy. But if it wasn't here or somewhere along this wall, and I was playing any character that's not a sorceress and that has, you know, charges on a teleport staff or something of the sort, I would have simply reset the game, because it's probably not going to be worth it to try to find it if it doesn't follow the rule, because in that case it's going to take a very long time to find. But that was shield side for Mephisto. Let's go ahead and move on to the next farming spot, which is going to be Baal, Worldstone Keep level 2. And what do you know, in this spot is actually going to be weapon side again. So we go shield weapon. Super easy to remember when doing your full MF runs. And in this case, the orientation is very easy because we have this red stuff on the map, which is basically telling us where to go. So this orientation is obviously right here, which is top right. Weapon side is going to be bottom right, so we're just going to stick to this wall. Again, it's not guaranteed, but chances are, about maybe 7 out of 10 times or something like that, that this is where you are going to find your way out. Now, unfortunately, souls are not great for this character. This character is not very good at farming this content in the first place. But let's go ahead and try that again, because I didn't quite make it this time. I'm not sure if I'm on the right weapon. It seems like my teleport was really slow. But here we go again. Blooper reels. We are, in this case, going to the top left, which means we're going to go to the top right, which is going to be our weapon side, and boom, there it is. Extremely easy to find. Now, that was a really good layout. Unfortunately, just like Catacombs, when it comes to Worldstone Keep level 3, I don't really have any tips for you guys. Alright, and now we're going to move on to the last portion of the video, which is going to be Nithalak. And one cool thing about Nithalak in this version of the game, D2R, is that whenever you kill Nithalak, you do keep the portal, which means you don't lose your Pindle skin. So don't be afraid of killing Nithalak for destruction keys. You are not going to lose this portal, which means you'll still be able to farm Pindle if you want to. Okay, so the cool thing about the Halls of Pain is that there's actually 3 layouts for this place, and that's it. And they are static, which means the moment you enter the zone, you know exactly where to go if you can remember 3 simple layouts. This is going to be layout number 1, and it's very distinctive because there is no wall. You can actually, once you spawn, and this is the direction of the layout, bottom, there is no wall stopping you from going down. If that's the case, the exit is always going to be essentially almost just across, if you will, which is right here. Right, if you do pretty much a straight line, you go down to the bottom of this line, and then you just go in a straight line, you're always going to find it because it is static. It's always going to be here in this specific layout. Now, hopefully I can find the other 2 without too many resets, but let's see how that goes. Alright, so here we go, Walls of Pain. Unfortunately, we got the exact same layout, so might as well use it for practice. Again, we just go down the thing, and then we go in a straight line, and here we are in Heart of Vault. Now, I'm probably going to get locked out if I go ahead and reset this game, because it's not going to want me to make games that quickly, unfortunately. So we're going to have to wait a minute here. While I'm here, I guess I'll ask you guys, if you do enjoy this type of content for D2R and you'd like to see more, feel free to let me know. I feel like this game is basically like, if you're used to playing PoE and you're an advanced player in PoE, this game is so much easier. Alright, this is going to be layout number 2. In this case, what's going to happen is that when you go down the portal from the spawn, you're going to hit a wall here. Now, not only are you going to hit a wall there, if you try to keep going down, you're going to hit a second wall right here. If you hit this second wall right there, right, so you hit the first wall and then you hit the second wall, it's always going to be just across this straight line. Boom, right here. That's it. Very simple. And there's going to be another layout. Hopefully I can find it on the next attempt. Fortunately, the third layout is actually kind of based on the one that we just did. It's another one where we go down and we hit a wall. But the other one, however, will let us keep going down. There's not going to be another wall. So let's see if we find it. Ah, lucky us, we actually just got it. So the third layout is going to be this one, right? We can go down, we hit a wall, which means it's not going to be the right-hand side layout. But the difference here is that we don't hit a second wall right here. If we don't hit a second wall, instead of just going straight across to the exit, we're going to keep going down, and then we're slightly going to go to the left. So we're going to keep going down, 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 and then we're going to go slightly to the left, and there it is, right? So again, from the waypoint, if we hit this wall, but then there is no wall here, and we can keep going down, we just do so until we basically just go a little bit to the left, and that is essentially the 3 static layouts for Halls of Pain. Extremely easy to figure out. And the last thing we have to talk about is going to be Halls of Vought in terms of how to find Nithalak himself, because there is a very easy trick to do so. What you're going to be looking for is some eyes, and the eyes that I'm talking about are these specific eyes, and depending on where they are in the next few locations that I'll be talking about, this is going to dictate where you're going to go. If the eyes are on this specific wall tile, it's over there. Always, always, always. If the eyes are on this specific one, right, the one that is facing you, not this one doesn't count, but this one, ooh, I'm actually going to die here. Whoop. All right. So again, if it's on this wall, then it's going to be this side. And the other two are basically just about the same. So in this case, they would be down here. If they are right here, which they are, it's always going to be down here. And if they are right here, it's always going to be down there. So all you have to look for is one set of red eyes. And as you can see, they're right here. So let me prove that this works, if I can even make it without any of my gear. But there it is. There is your boy Nithalak. And if I was to reset this and just showcase one more time in like a high-speed run, what it would look like. Now, of course, I'm a cold sorceress, which is a horrible build for this. But just for the showcasing, let's go ahead and do it. So let me put a couple mana pots in there. Okay. So again, very easy to figure out. If I can go down, I'm just going to go to the left just a tiny bit. And there we go. I'm in. And next, we're going to look for the eyes. Not there. Not there. They are there. They are here. So, in fact, it is going to be down here. And there you go. There's my Nithalak. Now, he is immune to cold. How very unfortunate. I'm actually breaking through it through the bug of cold mastery. But, yeah, there it is. And this is how you find Nithalak extremely, extremely easily. Doing this strategy, once you get a little bit, good at it, and once you get used to it, if you're using a fast character, you could pretty easily farm about 8 to 10 keys of destruction per hour, and essentially the price of keys of destruction is about double the price of key of hate and key of terror, which means you can trade 1 key of destruction for 2 of the other ones. So if you basically sell 3 keys of destruction, right, you can get almost an entire Uber set, which you can sell for however much, like a Vex or something, maybe a little bit less than that, right? So you can get a fair bit of currency because the keys of destruction are way more expensive than the other ones. And this was even more true a little bit earlier on in the wipe. They were worth about 3 times the value of any other keys. And the reason for that is very simple. People have a much, much harder time farming Nithalak than they do farming something like Countess or the Arcane Sanctuary. So that's pretty much my guide on how to efficiently farm the different, I guess you could say magic find slash keys finding. Now, I didn't go over the last one, which is the Arcane Sanctuary, but the reality of this is that it's just random. So there was, the 4 tiles, and then you just go in each of the direction. Now, you do have super chests at the end of each of the tiles, so if you actually go in the wrong one, you're still rewarded. But there is no tricks that I know of. So that's pretty much the main ones being, as a quick recap, just to quickly end the video. Black Marsh, you have the Countess. That is going to be shield side. Andariel and Catacombs is going to be weapon side of the orientation of the entrance, of course. Durance of Hate, back to shield side. And then Worldstone Keep level 2 for Baal is back to weapon side. And then for Halls of Pain, you have the 3 static layouts, which I all showcased in this video. And of course, you have Nithalak, which is basically looking for the set of eyes in any of the 4 tiles that I mentioned. If it's any of the other tiles than the 4 that I mentioned, it's not going to work. It has to be those exact ones. So anyways, hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know if you enjoyed this type of content or any, D2R content you'd like to know more about this game. Before I go, though, as always, I want to go ahead and give a huge thank you to my supporters. So Kat, Alex, Brandon, Nate, the second Alex, Flame Scorpion, Neroth, Grimoire, the Great Master, Johnny, Thomas, Mass, Reese, Tim, Axel, Road to Millions, Adicus, Scott, Stan, Zarashi, Welcome Back, Wolverine, Ronald, Kevin, the third Alex, Bitizen, and Mercury, as well as, of course, anybody else who supported me in the past and anybody else who wishes to remain anonymous. That'll be Matthew signing out. Until the next one. Peace.